My name's Jen and I am a member of the support team at the Brain Tumour charity, and I'm joined today by Judy Lindsell, who has been a relationship counsellor for the past 15 years and currently volunteers with Marriage Care. She's here today to share some of her insights about how relationships may be affected during the coronavirus crisis. So Judy, thank you very much for joining us.
You're very welcome. It's good to be here.
Oh, it's lovely to have you. So, as you know, Judy, and as we published in our Losing Myself report, that we know that 2 out of 3 couples will see a negative impact on their relationships following a brain tumour diagnosis. And that obviously there are multiple stresses that come with a diagnosis. How do you think that the current coronavirus crisis is going to kind of further compound that for couples and any type of relationship? And what kind of struggles do you think they may face at this time?
Yes, it's going to be very hard for an awful lot of people. And it provides us with challenges, but there are also opportunities for growth in a relationship. So, the opportunities for growth, there's more closeness. You actually see what your partner's like at work. When do you ever hear what they are saying on the phone to colleagues at work and things like that?
Yeah, true.
I'm not sure in this situation, one person will have the diagnosis and the other person will be continuing work, and some will, but either both of those or one of those will be continuing work. So that's the sort of scenario that they will be. But we're going to have our partners at home for 24 hours a day. And that's usually a privilege we only get maybe on holiday, maybe at weekends, and we work our life around it. Right now, it's very different and it's full time, and that's a whole new scenario. Absolutely. So I think one of the first things I might suggest is that we remember to be kind to each other. The stresses of the diagnosis are compounded by the stress produced by the coronavirus too. And where everyone in the general population is feeling anxious and concerned, but the levels may be higher, I think, for those with a diagnosis too. So they will need to perhaps work a little harder at keeping their stress levels down and being a genuine support for each other. Mm. And probably the most important thing we can do, I think, is when we're struggling, is we need to be heard. When the more anxious we get, the easier it is to push people away and to feel pushed away by the other person. I think what would help all of us is to be open to what we hear from our partner, to try and be understanding, to try and slow down our response to what they are saying and be more attentive to what they are saying. So when your partner says, I'm really stressed, I don't know what's happening about my treatment, it may be on hold, what's happening about the chemo, what's happening about everything, how are we going to survive, is to try not to say it's going to be okay, but maybe that's distressing for you. Yeah, it is worrying. We'll get through it together. And, to try and perhaps direct things away a little bit if they can, but to be listening and responsive and be aware of what their partners are saying. I think, kindness keeps coming back to me at this time. So little acts during the day, maybe a cup of tea comes your way. Thank you. Nothing doesn't cost us anything, but it makes a big difference if you're doing this all the time and nobody even notices. I was just imagining how hard it must be to have had your diagnosis, to be going home with it, and then you find that you are in total isolation at home. But with media and technology, we don't need to be alone at home. So our partner doesn't need to be the only person we can rely on. We can reach out, family, friends, help on the site. You have a lot available. But do reach out to those people because they will actually share the load a little bit. we tend to dump everything on our partner. And although that's our first resort, sometimes it's a bit helpful to share that around, because it's hard for our partner to keep hearing negative. And we don't want to not live a real life. It has to be authentic. But even so, we need to consider each other too.
Honestly, that's really, really insightful and really useful advice. And I think, like you say, it's an anxious time, isn't it, for the whole population, let alone then when you're dealing with a brain tumour diagnosis. So I think that is useful advice for everybody, to be honest, not just our community. One of the questions I'd wanted to ask you was around how do couples kind of manage different levels of anxiety about this situation? But I think, you've answered a lot of that already in what you've said, but I think it's just worth noting that we all respond to things differently, don't we? And there may be very different levels of how we as individuals respond to this particular crisis and the things we're hearing in the news, and just our own emotions will be very different from one person to another, even within a couple. And I think that's important to recognise.
I agree, and sometimes it's very hard. One of the couple tends to be slightly more emotional in their response, and the other will be perhaps more in their head, more thinking it through. And sometimes it's hard to be appreciative or to understand what the other is going through. That's why the stopping and the listening is important, so that you can verify. And both partners in the couple won't want to talk about this at the same time. And that's another difference that arises. So maybe we can put time on one side. I can't deal with it now. Can we talk later? You're not brushing somebody off, but you're giving them the opportunity. Then you can get yourself around a little bit. But yes, there will be different levels, and retaining the respect for each other whilst you appreciate what they might be feeling and still keeping yourself okay is always difficult. And that balance is one that you will find that love and respect will help you through.
No, that's really lovely and really important advice, absolutely. Much of the UK, but especially our community, will be facing weeks, potentially months of self-isolation, potentially also together as a couple. Any advice, in addition to what you've said, around how to kind of manage potential arguments or conflicts that might arise in that time when you have no escape and you're not able to leave the house and get away from each other?
It's something that we meet quite a lot in the counselling. And usually what people come in and say that we've forgotten how to communicate in a way that we can hear each other, and we end up shouting, and we end up saying things that are not helpful or hurtful. So to avoid this situation would be helpful. One of the exercises we practice quite a lot is the speaker-listener technique. Okay. And it slows down your argument, and it makes sure that each of you is heard, and it creates enough space and calm between you to hear the other. And even though you may not be resolving that argument immediately, you actually go away after a few minutes and you think, and then you come back and try the exercise again. In this exercise, one person speaks, whatever's worrying them. If they've heard the latest news about the virus, or they're concerned about how their particular diagnosis affects them with the virus or whatever, they make a statement that concerns them, and it's a fairly brief statement. The partner responds, and his or her response is, "What I heard you say is," and they will tell you reflect back what you heard. That's their time to give a response. Then the initial person reflects back what his or her response was, and then she or he gives her response. I'm not explaining it really well, but it is such a brilliant exercise because it slows down. So what you're doing, you're listening, you're reflecting, and then you give your response, and then the other person does the same. You do it for a short period of time, and then you go away, come back again later when you both find it convenient. And it's a really simple exercise, which is probably easier face to face, but it's one worth considering. So listen, reflect, respond, and be kind.
I think that sounds like a really useful exercise, because I guess especially if you're feeling anxious or worked up, then I guess can be all consuming, can't it? And it can be difficult then to let or hear anything else from that anybody else is saying. So kind of in forcing yourself to have to take a moment to especially even repeat what your partner has said, it means you have to really listen and then also show them that you have, so it makes it more active in that sense. So no, I think that's a really good tip. Would definitely want to try out and to share with the community. So the other thing I was thinking was that there'll be some couples where they don't necessarily actually live together, and so maybe facing a long time of not actually being able to see each other face to face. My initial thought is that must be really tough, but I wondered if you had any thoughts or insights about how to keep those kinds of relationships healthy in this time.
I think it is tough, but couples do face that quite a lot these days. People will be working away from home, and you just imagine yourself what technology you use to keep in touch. There are all sorts of, there's WhatsApp video calls. The communication lines are so open now. It's not the same as being in physical contact, I know, but there are ways to do it. And sometimes, just an old-fashioned letter is actually, I don't know if you're allowed to do that with fathers, actually. I think you'd probably be okay. Sometimes you can get to know people quite a lot better. So if you're not writing to each other, which is what used to happen, you can be emailing. There's telephone calls, there's video calls. There are all sorts of opportunities, and I think you learn to understand somebody in a different way. It is an interesting challenge. I think it's hard. But I think with current technology, it's possible to maintain a good relationship. It's just a different way of doing it. And our whole life right now is finding a new way to live. Our new normal hasn't happened yet. So we're discovering every day, and this may be part of a new normal. But do keep in touch and do whatever you can to maintain that touch. And emails, videoing, whatever is available to you.
I think it's true, isn't it, that I find myself with, my various relationships outside of my household, I almost am trying to speak to them more often than I might have done otherwise, because I know that I won't be able to see them. So I think it can also go the other way, can't it? And you actually end up communicating more frequently, just not necessarily face to face.
But then you need to keep a balance too with your partner, so that your partner doesn't feel actually you spend all your time on the phone or on whatever. Don't forget I'm here too. So it's balancing the quality time with both.
We know that within our community, there'll be many people that are currently on active treatment, such as chemotherapy, and therefore they will have been given the advice to self-isolate for 12 weeks, and most likely will have had a text and a call from their medical team to say that to them, if that's the case. Our understanding is that for some people that will also mean no physical contact with other people in their household, and to try and still stay 2 meters away from other people in the home at all times where possible. That obviously poses further difficulties for relationships in terms of intimacy, and I just wondered if you had any thoughts around that and what people can do to try and combat that.
I think it's an enormously challenging time, and it must be really difficult, because perhaps what you really want is a hug, and you don't want much else, but that is not available. I think if you were the partner of somebody who you could see like that, it's distressing, but maybe asking what would help. They may not know, but if you're asking, you can try it. I just have so much empathy for that. It is a really difficult situation, but talk together about it. you're both experiencing a loss of each other, even though you can see each other across the room. Mm-hmm. So talk about that loss. How do you feel about it? You're sad that it doesn't happen, but it will happen in the future. And try and look forward, if you can, to a time when it will be different, and just get through it together with support from each other. That might help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes back to what you said before around kind of kindness, and even just making your partner a cup of tea. Like, that is all still ways of showing your love, and communication is clearly key throughout all of this. And pretty much all of the answers essentially come back to that by the sounds of things.
Yes, it's usually the first casualty of a relationship, but it's the way back to a good relationship too. So keep the lines open for as long as you can. And if you can't keep them open, then take a step back, take a breath, and try again. And just the thankfulness and the kindness will allow those doors to open again. It's really hard when you're feeling stressed and anxious to think about being kind to somebody, honestly. And it's probably what we least think of doing, because what we need is kindness. But by being able to express it, it's returned to you doublefold, and it's well worthwhile.
Oh, that's brilliant, Judy. Honestly, thank you so much for giving up your time and talking to us today. We really, really appreciate it. And it's really insightful, and really great to hear your thoughts on the current situation. So thank you very much. Okay, well, thanks very much, Jen, and I wish you all the best. And I shall look forward to continue watching all that's on the site. There is so much information for everybody there. Oh, thank you, Judy. Take care.